Cranley School in Surrey. A school steeped in traditions, tried and tested over its 150-year history. Yet joined with a progressive 21st century ethos. That can create the unexpected, the exciting, the ultra-contemporary.
It's a building which I will use as, I hope, a creative and inspirational space to show young people of what you can do with wood, not just the building itself, but the activity. I'm trying to say to kids, there's ways of doing things, let's play, come and enjoy. I suppose where I'm coming from with this building is trying to inspire people to use local materials to build with and to prove that you can do, and to try and do something towards sustainability. Now, sustainability and eco and all these green words are something that gets bandied around quite a lot, but I thought let's actually explore it, let's see what we can do, and that's what I've tried to achieve. I'm trying to demonstrate that this sort of thing can be done in a contemporary world.
You could actually take this right off while you put the glue on it, because you need to get that on fairly quickly.
Take this off?
Yeah, take this one away.
A fine building in which to teach and to learn.
Yeah, just do the whole thing.
It doesn't matter if it goes over the edge.
No. We're going to put glue.
A distinctive building, testament to a school's commitment to a unique project.
Together, so there's no glue in there, which means when you take the crank off, can I have a pencil? Can you put glue there and there?
A green building, allowing Stephen to make a memorable journey. An Odyssey with his beloved material, wood. Yet this much admired building of today has overcome racking disappointment and tears. Imagine, after almost 2 years of sweat and struggle, your toil is finally at an end in 2008. The building is created. A beautiful and hugely satisfying job. Well done. Yet that night, that very night, your dream burns to the ground.
Yes, the fire. That was quite an interesting day, interesting night. I had a phone call at 4 a.m. saying the workshop's on fire. And I thought, wait a minute, he said the workshop's on fire, not there's a fire in the workshop. So 8th of April last year, 08, I came up here at 4:30 in the morning and the thing was just an inferno. 18 months of hard physical graft just burned up in smoke in front of me. But I brought my camera up because I'm a photographer also, and I just calmly started composing, focusing, getting my exposure right, and let's record this, let's get it right, which may have helped detach me, but probably not. And I just knew I was standing in front of it, listening to the crackling, and the firemen were there. There was about 5 fire engines here, and I just knew that night, I've got to do it again. I thought, a potter breaks a pot, you make another one, so what? It's just a bit more involved, it takes a little longer. I think that the hardest thing to come to terms with was one, I had to just stop because the building had been taken from me. It wasn't as if I'd finished the race and I could wind down and then all that and start to enjoy what I'd done. It was, finish. So that was a huge shock in that respect. But also the fact that I had lost the potential of what I was about to give birth to.
Another 18 months of hard labour loomed. Again, Stephen was to be ever present.
My role has been many and varied. I'm sweeping up, I'm clearing up, not fussing around, but making sure that the next process can happen efficiently. So yes, I would say the concept designer, the legal side, the stresses and strains and all that side of it. I did employ architects, local engineers, and mechanical and electrical consultants to do, if you like, all that side of it, because it's the first time I've ever done anything like this. But I've been there at every stage. I did the working out, I did the prototyping, all the purchasing, all the material preparation, all bar the main painting. When I say main painting, the interior, and T-Boy as well.
He even chose the individual trees for the particular beams from a local wood as they were felled, enjoying the sheer character of the natural materials.
I was measuring woods, measuring trees in woods and choosing them. And the trees came from 3 different woods, quite nearby, but nevertheless I couldn't find all that I needed in one stand, so that meant going to other ones. So it was very exciting actually to be looking at various trees and say that one's going to be here, that, you know, some of the A-frames are shorter than the longer flitch beams. So I could picture what I wanted, and I marked them up, and then the foresters would fell them and extract them for me. And then we brought them here to the site where a mobile sawyer sliced some of them, not all, but some needed to have a flat on them. I'd wanted to do something like this for over 20 years. I've been here at Cranley School just over 10 years now, and before I was here I wasn't far away renting a barn on a farm where I was making my furniture, and I was invited to move that activity here to the school and to teach part-time. Before I moved here, the landlord of where I was willing to let me rent a wood long-term lease in which I wanted to build a timber building to demonstrate this sort of thing, to say you can go green, you can use local woods, and it's lovely. I went to see the local planners. You know, it was like knocking on Fort Knox's door. There was no way. They said the only way you'd ever achieve anything like this is if it's an experimental building on a campus.
Stephen's building has been an extraordinary project. He'd always had a dream to build something very special. He suddenly had the opportunity not only to be the furniture maker, but to be the designer of a building, and the involvement that he's managed to get with some of the young people in that project, talking to them about it, getting them to come down and have a look and see what he's been doing. All the ecological aspects, all the energy saving aspects of it has been really interesting. So there's a whole variety of ways in which this building has been important in the life of the school, of young people who've now been seeing it growing and then disappearing and then regrowing over a period of, well, it must be nearly 3 years now, by which time some of those children have gone from aged 14 to 17, which is in itself quite a change in life.
The trees travel from forest to site and are sliced into shape. But then, a true labour of love, as Stephen hones each tree to make them fit for purpose.
It was a nice touch actually. My birthday was when I had about 53 trees turned up. So then I had to start to scraping them. So that was November. December was just scraping. When I say scraping, that's peeling the bark from the logs. If I left the bark on the logs, insects would get under the bark and start to eat, and it would rot and that sort of thing. But by stripping the bark, you stop any insect infestation. January, I finished my scraping and peeling. That was in a way the end of all my raw material preparation. And then I had a team of local carpenters came and helped me.
Precision, care, craftsmanship are the order of the day, as specialist teams helped carry the load.
In mid-January we started on a bench under a small gazebo, starting to make the first A-frame. So that's taking the logs, trimming them and jointing them. January took us to February, where we were still doing that activity and making the end frames as well. So that time was taken up with preparing the components, if you like, the raw material into components. March, we then started to erect those components. Those A-frames were stood up. They went up on the existing pads. Having made the components, the feet were slotted in and they were all put to one side, and then when we were ready we started to stand them up on the concrete foundations. And then once you see something, it's like this totem pole, I suppose, this sort of marker point, you think, yes, we're building, and things start to grow, which is great. I seem to lose track of time sometimes, but I think by about end of April we had the frame up and we started to then make the roof. The roof was a straightforward construction using plywood and constructed I-beams and more plywood and metal sheeting for the top.
Should we pull it all the way through then and then cut the fly?
Do you want to make an up after you see the band?
Okay.
The roof is laid on, a balance of local and manufactured material, tenderly put in place by craftsmen who became almost as committed to the project as Stephen and the school.
April, May time we brought in what I would say regular carpenters who then started to build the walls, build the floor, and we were then on to manufactured timber which had been brought in, sheets of plywood, I-beams, so that everything really moved on quickly then. And sometimes I've had 8, maybe 10 men on any one day working on this project, so it really has flown along. I've tried to pride myself in preparing as much as I can so there's no hold up from my part. At the same time, the school workshop were producing the window frames and the front door and the side windows and the side and back door. So it's been juggling all those other components to make sure that they'd come on stream when we needed them. Most of my materials are local, certainly the main structural materials. All the upright trees came from 4 miles away, from Hascombe Estate, and the longer ones came from Petworth, at 14 miles away. And the exterior cladding has come from a different forest, again about 4 miles behind me. The insulation is recycled newsprint, which I believe is produced in South Wales, but it's very much recycling. A lot of the man-made sheet material in the building is what's called OSB, which is again recycled timber. So I think we've got as local as we could do for natural materials. probably over a 2-month period, I've been painting and painting and painting miles of cladding, so that when the guys need it to nail up, it's already been coated on 2 sides already, which again has speeded things up. I'm a furniture maker by training, and this is the biggest box I've ever made. If you like, as a cabinet maker, one works to very exacting standards, and now I'm working with the building trade, and I'm not saying they're not exacting, but the standards needn't be, obviously, quite the same, and so there's been quite a steep learning curve. My mind is certainly always on this job 24 hours a day, as it feels like. One wakes up in the small hours, ping, I got this and this to do. I do try and stop at the weekends. Yes, I'm driving it hard. It's very much my baby, so why, who wouldn't? And it's hard to get away from it. It's been very physical as well as mental and emotional. But I do try and walk away from it, but I can't completely walk away from it. It will use electricity from the national grid. Because I have heavy equipment, woodworking machinery, I do need some heavy juice there. Water is from the local supply. It's not a house, so we're not using lots of water. It will be hand washing, cups of tea, a closed system for the radiators. So I won't be completely self-sufficient for energy, but I think my carbon footprint for building has been phenomenally low.
Suddenly, almost eerily, Stephen is alone again for the final weeks, landscaping the surrounding soil, toiling on the distinctive deck. Stephen's design centre at Cranley School is earning plaudits from its many visitors.
You'd just like to refill tea and coffee and take a seat.
A major Design in the Environment conference was held there recently, with delegates from all over the UK.
We're really here sort of celebrating what's being done in Surrey, and also to discuss what more we can do and how we can build up the momentum.
It is now a fully working building, yet Stephen dismisses all talk of his journey being over. For him, it is only just beginning.
Do I feel honoured? Yes, of course. Hugely honoured, actually. This is more than a dream come true. I've wanted to do it for a long, long time. I've studied other people's work in this area, been to see many, many examples. And it's interesting, when people walk in, they look up, they see the logs, and there's something about structures, there's something about environment, there's something about wood, definitely something about wood, something about using your hands. All these things come together, and the number of people said, oh, I could live in a place like this. So let's be realistic about doing sustainable and economical and environmentally friendly things, and let's cut all that bandwagon jargon, and let's just do it.